afternoon, everyone. How are you? This is Dr. Ty Douglas, your border crossing brother, and I am excited to welcome you inside of the So Amazing Life Today Father's Day special. I'm just so grateful for a day like Father's Day where we get a chance to celebrate the many, many, many great fathers all across this world. And I just want to start off by saying happy Father's Day. We love fathers. I'm a proud father, and I celebrate the great fathers in my life. In fact, it dawned on me today that I actually really don't know many bad dads. I don't know probably any at all. I have to try to sit down if I had to figure that out. Because most of the men in my life are dedicated fathers. And I don't think that's just a reflection of my circle. I'm convinced that men care about their families and they care about their children. And so I'm excited today to celebrate the great man, not just across this world, but I have with me today three of my favorite fathers. I'm talking about three leaders, three men that are they're everyday guys, but they're also superheroes in their homes as well as in their communities. I want to introduce them to you real quick. I want to first start out by introducing a great friend of mine. His name is Brother Durrant A. Keynes. Brother Durrant, how are you, sir?
Good evening to your listeners, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers that are on this call and all the fathers that are listening from around the world. Today is our Christmas. Happy Father's Day.
Yes, sir. It's always good to see you. Always looking sugar sharp. I see you added the glass. Are those real glasses or those just for aesthetic?
Our prescription. When you get to a certain age, these are the second thing you may need help with. Eyes.
I love it, man. Always good to see you, man. I just want to, before we go any further, man, I just love you, man. I appreciate you. You are an amazing dad, and I'm just so grateful to know you. I'm so grateful to have you in my life, and I know those who are listening today will be blessed by your presence, man. God bless you. Thanks for being with us.
And we are in the Mutual Admiration Society because I indeed have the same level of respect for you, your wife, and your sons.
Absolutely. God bless you, man. Appreciate you. I also want to invite into our conversation my dear brother. His name is Durrant Starling. Durrant, where are you, man? How you doing?
My brother, I'm calling you from Laurel, Maryland, and I'm doing great. I am loving this opportunity. I was thinking about the guys that you have on here. Each of them I know and have my own relationship with and have great respect for. So I'm excited about today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on. I love you, man. Durrant so one of the things we want to do, we want to connect the dots across the diaspora. And so while Durrant lives in Laurel, Maryland, he's also connected to Bermuda. His bride is an onion. And you represent Petersburg, Virginia originally, right, D?
Originally, yes.
We got Petersburg in the house. And so we want to know just from the beginning, if you're in the Caribbean somewhere, if you're in England, you're somewhere in, in Europe, if you're in Australia, wherever you are, we understand that across the diaspora, there are dads, and in particular Black men, who love their families and are committed to their community. So we're so glad to have you on. And then last, but certainly not least, I want to introduce to some and present to others my dear dad, Brother Stan Douglas. We call him public.
Hey, well, thank you very much, Tiger, for allowing me an opportunity to be a part of this discussion. And I recognize that the men that you previously introduced have played an integral role in your life. And I was sitting here thinking about the men that played an integral role in mine. One was my father, but the other was my stepfather, Bernard Jackson, who gave me expectations for life. And I hope that you now see that you've achieved the expectations I had for your life.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Wow.
Appreciate you being on. Thank you for who you are. I just want to acknowledge you as well. And I appreciate one of the things I love about this gathering of men is that we have a diversity of not just perspectives, but life experiences. And so even you use the language of stepfather with your relationship with your father or your stepfather. I know there are some who are watching who will be encouraged to know that, listen, there are various experiences that we've had, and so all of us are welcome in this space. And so I appreciate you, and I definitely love you, Dad. Good to have you on. So real quick, gentlemen, we're going to just jump off and go right here. I just want to give some context as well. As we do, you'll notice we're dressed comfortably. It's Father's Day. It's our day, right, fellas? Right?
Yeah.
It's our day, right? All right. So real quick, I'm got my Bermuda jersey on. I'm a sports fan. I see the other some of them have got their Sunday best on. But wherever you are, if you would, this is a conversation. You want to pull your sons close, your daughters closer. Bring your nephew, your auntie, your bride, your wife, your partner. Like, this is a conversation for everybody. and we're excited to welcome you inside of it. So, fellas, real quick, who had the best Father's Day? And what does a great Father's Day look like anyway? Like, real quick, who had the best Father's Day? Let's brag on somebody real quick. Talk to me.
You know, I think I had a great Father's Day. Typically, I am always on the go, and I'm a planner, and I like to socialize, and I like to entertain. And so when we are doing something, I'm normally the one that plans it. Today, I laid in my bed for hours. I was just kind of chilling, and then I was given breakfast, and I stayed in bed. I wasn't asleep. I never stay in bed. So I was just lying in bed. And then my oldest daughter comes upstairs with a basin. And she had decided she was going to give me a pedicure. And we had such a beautiful moment, just the two of us. And she had no idea that was the first, my first Father's Day. That was one of the things my wife made me. She gave me a pedicure. And my daughter didn't know that, but she gave that to me today. And it was beautiful. You know, we had a few minutes to just kind of talk, just the two of us. And now we're here. So, yeah, I had a great day.
Love it. Love it. Somebody else, talk to me. What did you do that you were really excited about, that you enjoyed?
Well, mine was, I celebrate Father's Day weekend. And if I could do a Father's Day week, I would have. It started yesterday on Sabbath. My daughters usually get up and they make me a specific breakfast, a breakfast of my choosing. It was well prepared. It was well designed. The layout was like something that could rival any of Bermuda's most premier restaurants. And that was served to me on a tray in bed, and it was followed up later that afternoon while we went out and we had a really amazing dinner at Rustico's. And then, believe it or not, in the evening, I got on a Zoom call with my family from around the world. That's United States, Jamaica, Canada, Bermuda. And we just had tributes along the lines of affirming fathers. And they highlighted 3 fathers in my family. My dad, who is 77. They highlighted my uncle, who's 65, and another uncle who is almost 80. And all of the individuals within that family group affirmed them as fathers. And then that evening I went over, after that, which was around 9, we have curfew, so I went over a friend's house. And then today I awoke and I went on the water. You know, as Bermuda, the water is our tradition, is where we believe the world grows for us. And I went on the water for a few hours. And then my brothers and I, we went out we do every year, my brothers and I, we do something special. And so we went out to brunch. And I literally just came back from brunch a few minutes ago. So it was celebrated with the people that are nearest and dearest, wrapping our arms around them and just getting lost in who we are as men and celebrating fatherhood. And when you celebrate fatherhood, you actually celebrate the best of manhood.
Yeah. Love it. That's good.
Agreed.
Agreed. You add anything about your day that would be helpful for context?
Well, my day was smooth, but the beauty of it was that having 2 children, I had some special time with both of them on the phone, and with you, son, sharing some very personal moments that left me, reminded me why I call you son and why I'm so proud to be a part of your life. So those are the things. I always say that Father's Day is an opportunity to truly remember the responsibilities that God has given me. But now at this stage, with you guys being a little bit older, things have changed, and I'm not the caretaker of your lives anymore. You both are the caretakers of mine. So being a father becomes a reward as the child grows into their own. So I thank God for you, and I thank God for your sister, because you guys make my life at this stage wonderful.
Love it, love it. Yeah, appreciate you. Sounds like I need to step my Father's Day game up. You guys, I mean, gotta cue us in the. That's another level. I mean, I enjoyed my day. I'm a pretty simple guy. It's interesting living outside of my village, right? I mean, I was born and raised in Bermuda. I live in Columbia, Missouri. So, while I have my nuclear family here, I was raised in a context where we typically had extended family, and so those are some limitations of being here. But I definitely enjoy connecting with my family, WhatsApp and telephone calls. I did enjoy watching the soccer game this morning. I'm a big Liverpool fan, and so I enjoy watching.
Sympathies.
Say it again.
You have our sympathies.
Come on, don't hate, man. But get our title this year. You sound like my oldest son. Our oldest son is a Chelsea fan, so he had to run up his mouth a little bit and a little banter. We had a good time. But I just enjoyed the day and enjoyed also preparing for this moment. And in many respects, this moment is a part of Connect with My Village. So appreciate you all. As we transition the conversation, guys, so real quick, when I say the word being a daddy, when I say the word even being father, and perhaps for you, there's a difference between the two. What comes to your mind? What do you love about being a dad? What do you love about being a father? And even that language. Is there particularities around even father, daddy, and what do those terms mean to you?
Well, I love that I get to mold lives, and at the same time, I'm afraid of, and I'm just being honest, I'm afraid of that responsibility because it is so massive, and you get one chance to do it well. What I've noticed is when the era that I grew up in, children were seen and not heard, and I don't treat my children like that. I apologize a lot to my children, and I learn a lot from my children. I've learned lessons in faith from my children. I've learned lessons in patience. I've learned just simple things, how to treat them, and to not take advantage of my authority over them. Do it because I said so. I don't say that to my children. I explain to my children. We have dialogue, and it's respectful dialogue, but dialogue. And I want to hear what they think. I want to know how they feel, and I invite them to tell me if there's something that I've said, something that I've done that that has made them feel a certain way. I want to know that. I don't want you to hold that in, because ultimately, at the end of the day, I need you to know that I love you and I respect you, and it's a mutual thing. So I give them what I'm wanting them to give me back. I try to show them active love, not just saying one thing and keeping my word. Simple things like that. Things that we all want, and things that we all should expect from other people. That's really what I try to do as a father. And I love, like I said, I love the responsibility, but it's a very weighted role, and you cannot approach it lightly. If you don't have God guiding you, you really are just kind of lost, because there is no handbook, and my parenting is not going to look like yours or anyone else's on this call. It's going to be individual to me, and God's the only way that I can do this and do this well.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Durrant sets a very powerful platform in that there's no textbook. I can say for me, it brings out significant truths for me at being a father. And the first truth is that I had a phenomenal father, and I had significant men that were in my life that actually helped me on my journey to manhood. So first, I could not be where I am without acknowledging my father and the role he played, and the men, the surrogate fathers that God placed in my life, so that I had somebody to lean on when I couldn't lean on my father. And there's another truth, Ty, and that is, and my close friends and family know, but most people who just see me don't realize I've been a father for 30 years, which means I was a father at 18 years of age. And that is a significant responsibility when you think I was a teenage dad. And we hear a lot about teenage mothers. We don't hear very many people talking about teenage fathers. And I was a teenage father. And so I have grown into my fatherhood. I've grown into being who I am today. And I say this without fear of contradiction. The best and the most important thing I've ever done is being a father. I think my oldest daughter, who is my heart, as all my daughters are my heart, she saw the journey. So she is strong, She's intuitive to other people's needs. She has a level of discipline. She has a level of beyond her years, because she saw a journey that her other two sisters did not see. She was with me. I had my daughter when I was in college. She was sitting next to me in class. She watched everything. She saw us when we were in a studio apartment with nothing. And she built up to where she can watch and see us grow. We grew together. And so we have a unique bond. So she embodies my spirit, my ambitions, my drive. And then I have my middle daughter, who is she's a nurse, and she's got my soft, sensitive, caring, that warmth that you want. And then my last daughter, she's my firecracker. She's my activist. She's the one that wants to study history and wants to teach and wants to get up with her fist in the air and say, I will not take it, and here's why. And so when I look at my daughters, I take comfort that no matter anything else, those are the three things that I take pride in and that I did right.
That's awesome.
Earlier,
Earlier,
I said to Duan that the real gift comes later. And I think that's what you heard with Dwayne when he speaks of his daughters. The real gift of all your efforts comes later in life, when you see that your kids find themselves in their own journey, and they're respectful, they're committed, and they're giving. And for me, I was trying to express that earlier, that my real joy now, because when I became a father, I really didn't know what those responsibilities were. I probably learned them over like 10 years. I learned to be a better person over a 10-year period. And then when your sister came, I was a little bit more seasoned and able to understand that it's a personal journey. I'm no hero. I owe it all to God, because I really didn't know what I was doing. But I knew that I wanted to be better. I wanted to be better than the men that came before me. Even though they gave me some guidelines, I wanted to be even a better father than they were. And some days I feel like I'm successful, and some days I feel like a failure. But today, when I talk to my two kids, and we talked about the now and the past and what makes us who we are, I'm satisfied that the journey I was on was my journey, and it was given to me because only I can assist you in getting there. You understand what I'm saying? It's like this journey is always personal and private. And sometimes we talk in fatherhood like it's been easy, and it's not. But the greatest thing about it is that when you reflect, even on the things that were at the time not positive, it was a very important part of the journey, either to shape you or to shape me. And the person I am now is not the person I was 20 years ago. And it's because I've had this experience, because I've had this responsibility of bringing up young people. You could have been born to someone else.
Yeah.
God said, this is your responsibility, Douglas. Let's get it together. And what it did was it changed my life.
Yeah, that's good. I wanna mine a little deeper. You said a word. You said at times you feel like, or you felt like you were a failure as a father. I wanna just create a little space for additional fathers who want to join in on that, because for you, I mean, some may look and say, hey, it looks like your kids are doing well, you're successful, but there's someone who's watching who may not feel like they're a successful father, and yet you're saying that in spite of the fact that your kids have seemingly tried to achieve some of the things that you had hoped for them, you still have moments where you feel like, man, I'm not sure if I did that right. So I want to just create a context for you guys to share for a dad who's watching or a mom who's watching who may feel like they've struggled as a parent, how do you pivot? How do you take that and say, you know what? Like, what do you do at the moment where you feel like you're not good enough or you haven't done well? What do you do there? How do you navigate that? How do you overcome it?
First things first, and that is, as Duane said, there is no playbook. So as a parent, first things first, and that is, do not compare yourself to anyone. What you can do is learn from others, but realize that the journey that you are on is a personal journey. And every day you get up, you have to decide to be a better father.
Yeah.
Again, there's some basic foundations that you need to have is, what is the role that I have that I want to excel at as a father? Which means, do I want to be better at being a father? And acknowledge when you've made a mistake. Every father has said something or done something that they are not proud of. The key, first of all, is to accept the fact that you are not perfect, be humble enough to seek help so you can make better decisions, and then apologize to your child and to your child's mother, whether it be your wife or the mother of your child, that you were wrong, and your responsibility as a man is to do better. A man who's a father has been called to do three things: to be priest, the provider, and the protector. Priest is a context around every time you're in your house, you recognize that it's your responsibility to be a spiritual center for your family. We're not talking religion. We're talking about you helping your family to realize there's something in this world that is more than just them and what they see. It is an ownership in being a part of this global universe and accepting there is someone that actually controls it and pay homage to it. The second thing is, after you've been a priest, is to be a provider. A provider is simply recognizing that there's, in your nuclear world, that you are responsible for taking care of the emotional, physical, spiritual, mental, cultural needs of your family. You have to make sure that they feel safe and they're taken care of. The third thing, after your priest, after your provider, is being a protector. It means that you're there to band around the house to make sure no danger comes to yours. So all of those things tie into, we have not all been good in either one of those capacities. And how do you get better? Is A, acknowledging that you are not perfect. B, acknowledging that you can do better. And the third one that keeps you humble, those are human beings that have been gifted to you. And your responsibility is to craft and to shape them so that they can become better in this world. They are many us's. And so we now see in Bermuda everything going haywire, and now is this heavy reflection on parents. What this conversation is saying, as men, we have a responsibility to be the rudder. If you know a boat, it has a rudder and the tail. The rudder is the part that steers, and it's underneath. You don't see it, but it has a critical part in the direction. The mother's up top steering. Everybody sees that. But the father is that force that's down bottom. It's solid, it's strong, it's dependable, it's nurturing, it's loving. And yes, sometimes you have to discipline, but even love and discipline are acts that work together.
Yeah.
Well put, Dwayne. Well put.
Yes,
Love it.
yes.
That's powerful. I want to pivot. I feel like that was comprehensive. I know we have lots of ground to cover. And we only have about a half hour left, folks. I know you're enjoying this. So please send your questions. If you want to have questions, put them in the chat. We'll do our best to cover them. I want to add some additional context. So you shared, we acknowledge that there can be challenges, right? As a father, we can make mistakes. And part of those challenges come from the reality that we have various family and father contexts. Even in this conversation, we've acknowledged there are folks who may be a stepdad, or maybe you have a blended family dynamic, or maybe you've had to adopt, or whatever, right? I want to ask a question as relates to how you've navigated your own family dynamic, whether it be homeschool, the one as a dad who homeschooled, and that was before COVID, right? Or maybe it was a dad, like in the words of Lisa Dalpit, loving on other people's children, where you took somebody else and you became, like you say, a father overnight. Something I've also experienced as a father. In fact, a piece that I just wrote today or came out today that's on that. And I hope you get a chance to take a look at that. Maybe I'll mention it at the end. But I also know what it's like to say, listen, young man, you are mine, I'm yours, and I'm going to love you. I'm going to love you as my own. And so maybe that's something that somebody has navigated. Or others, the way you mentioned being a teenage dad, right? How you, I know it's not one size fits all, gentlemen, but are there particular principles that can help one to navigate the various sort of contacts and contours of being a father and the relationships with their mothers? I just want to open it up for you to think about how you came into fatherhood and how you've navigated being a father in various contexts, as fathers are very diverse.
Well, for me, Ty, I fell in love with your mother even before you were born. And when you were born, I was actually at the hospital, but I wasn't allowed in because I was not family. I soon made a decision to marry her. And in making that decision, I also made a selfish decision. And that was that I wanted to bring you up as my own. And I didn't want anybody to be able to interrupt any of the efforts that I was making. Now, again, I didn't know what it was to be a father, but I knew that my love was extended beyond your mother and to you. And I made up my mind that whatever it took, I was going to make a major investment in your life. And therefore, you had to be my son. Of course, we had to wait a while for that because there was a procedure where they wanted to ensure that it was something that you wanted. But I always say I was selfish. I didn't want our lives to be interrupted by your biological father. But at the same time, your mother and I made a decision that you must know him. I look back and I think that was a big decision on our part because part of me was very selfish and wanting you just to be mine. And the other part of me was saying, in my life, I knew my father who wasn't in my house. And I knew in the later years how much he really cared for me, even though he couldn't provide and he was not there all the time. So my goal as a man was to be a better father, but to be there for all of your needs. And it was a challenge more than a sacrifice because it was a challenge because it was a decision that I had made very early in my life, very early. I just did not want to be investing and then somebody come along and say, it's my son and take you away. I couldn't bear that. I couldn't bear that now. I think my love is greater than I can express. It's greater than I can express because I made that decision. And like in everything, you make a decision to love, you make a decision to forgive, and you make a decision to move on and give your best self to your child. So if you notice, all of your life, I say, my son. I instill it in our conversation. I instill it in everything that we do because that is what you are to me.
Absolutely.
Today when we talk, you shared some thoughts with me, and I embraced your maturity, but also I embrace your respect for my feelings. And that was very powerful. I think that in this journey of becoming a father, sometimes you have to be very strong and harsh. Sometimes you have to be soft and listen and learn. So I'm at a stage now where the love that I've shared is coming back to me in so many different ways. And I would say to young fathers out there, it's a journey. It's not always easy, but the effort you put in, you will be rewarded later in your life. And I say thank you to God on that one.
Yeah, that's powerful there. I appreciate it. I think what makes it even more powerful for me, like I remember those moments. I remember finishing P2 primary school, year 2. If you're in the States, that would be grade grade 1. And I remember my name changing. I remember my name being in P2, Tyrone Bean, and then my name changed. That summer after I made the decision with you and mom to be formally adopted by you, by you. But obviously, I can understand also from the other side as being a child, navigating father dynamics, and even thinking as a boy, why didn't my father want me? That was my thought as a boy. Like I asked that question of my mom, and if he didn't want me, what I've come to realize, I don't think either of you were selfish. In fact, I think both of you were unselfish, in that my father was willing to do what was best for me, which was to allow me to be fully embraced in the village that I was in. Ironically, my biological father is actually from St. Louis. And so it's so crazy and deep, because I literally live in Missouri now. Some of you may have seen me, last week on Fox News doing a commentary, and it wasn't lost for me that my biological father is literally, lying in a grave not too far from the studio where I presented. And I don't believe it's by chance that some 40-something years later that I'm here, I'm back in this state. But I'm here and back in this state because of the village that I was allowed to be nurtured in Bermuda. And so I want to thank you publicly for taking me and loving me as your own. I believe my biological father, and feel free, we can bring up a pic or two that might help with context. I believe that my biological father was the one who was to help give me life, but I believe you were the one who was to help to teach me how to do life, how to love, how to be a border crossing brother. Literally, like you embody that. And so I want to share that publicly, because a lot of times people may come along now and they see the fruit, Brother Keynes, but they don't understand the root. They don't understand the challenges, the times there. But I mean, as a boy, when you start to smell yourself as a teenager and you get an attitude and you say, well, you're not my daddy, right? And the tensions of that, and you loving me through that, right? I mean, and it's so what makes it even more personal for me as a father now, who also became a father overnight. One of my fears was always like, I want to make sure that in my household, everybody's got the same last name. Like I wanted like the Douglases, like on the answering machine, like on the mailbox. Like I wanted that, because for me, I thought, listen, while my life was blessed, I wanted normal. You know what I'm saying? I knew what it's like my name to change, and I knew what it's like to have the hyphenated first name and the stuff that sometimes makes people question, like, who are you? And then what I had to come to embrace was whatever God brings together. If that's what He's put together, that's the family that He wanted for us. And so I've embraced like all the BS, the beautiful struggle, and the beauty of my journey, and even taking on the wonderful opportunity to raise a young man who also lost his father. And I was blessed to be able to be married to his mom and to have him as my own. It was a risk. And so I want to just publicly affirm dads who are watching, who love other people's children. Lisa Delpit. And many men, in particular, Black men, do this. Whether it's your nephew, whether it's your cousin, I mean, you're a coach, you're a barber. Like, I know so many men. I'm a product of many, many, many men. I wouldn't even go into names, but I mean, just some come to mind. I think of my barber, Ricky. Man, that brother, I love that. I mean, he's more than a barber. I think about Gerald Fubler. I think about Deval Boyles. I think about like men who just were in my life at various stages. Mr. Tucker, my PE teacher, like so many men. I'm a reflection of the best of Bermuda, and so many of us have experienced this, but sometimes it goes unacknowledged. And so today we want to acknowledge every single man who fathers, who leads, who's a gumbe instructor, who taught music lessons, Bermuda Regiment, like each of us, right, play a role. And so I want to just celebrate that and acknowledge you today. Dwayne, did you have a comment? Look like you were leaning in, like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was listening to Stan, and I got emotional. And I got emotional because I felt him. And most people don't understand the emotion as a father that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, and there's no true opportunity sometimes to be vulnerable, because in our community, particularly a community of color, vulnerability sometimes is misread. And so we don't want to look vulnerable because we spend so much of our life being vulnerable. So when I saw Stan tear up, it actually made me get emotional, and it made me recognize it's important for me to tell my truth, because somebody has to benefit from it. I know what it's like having a child in your house who does not have the same name. As I said, I had my first daughter at 18, and she is the reason why I'm so disciplined, kind, and loving today, because I learned how to love pure and true from her. But let me tell you, when you're young and you have a child, people don't respect you. They don't respect your decisions. They do not think you have what it takes. So you develop a chip on your shoulder because you are always trying to prove yourself worthy of fatherhood. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you're navigating life with the child, trying to fulfill your own destiny and your own dreams. So you have this child that you're responsible for, then you have your own life that you're responsible for, and you're trying to navigate the two. Here's the part that becomes real. My daughter's mother, for those who don't know, is Valarie Burch. We did not work out. What I will go to my grave being thankful for is she respected me as a man. She never brought anything into my family, into my world, to disrespect me. She always ensured that my family was treated as one. Even though my daughters were not hers biologically, she treated them like they were part of her family. My family did the same. She and they created a bond in our world. No, you go into my house, it is not the Brady Bunch. It is an interesting unit, but it's my unit. I don't explain my unit to anybody else because it works for us. And we made sacrifice at young, and I said, my daughters, I do not allow them to use the word in my house, stepdaughters.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no such thing in my world as a stepdaughter or a stepsister or a half sister. You don't get half love. There's no steps. That is your sister. That is your daughter. I'm your father. Even though it's your stepmother, that's your mother. You have been blessed to have two mothers. But what we did was, I did not hide the fact that I had my daughter at 18. The reason why is too many young Black men without role models of a young man who had a daughter at a young age. I know what it's like to have to struggle to get the respect of your community and your church and your family, because they see you as insignificant because you're a teenage parent. So I respect the journey of fatherhood. It's a 30-year journey. It's a journey that when I see my daughters, I'm thankful that I did not run. I did not run. I stayed and I gave my daughter everything. And I give them everything. And guess what, Ty? I'm not unique.
Right.
Yeah. There are thousands of men every single day.
Every day. Yeah.
That do it. And our society chooses not to recognize those men because the narrative is different.
Yeah.
It's not a good enough narrative, because I don't want to take up too much time because I know Duan has to say, but I just want to say shout out to the men that have had to step up. Shout out to the dads who are in situations where the mothers are still giving them hell. Shout out to the men who are fighting to see their children.
Yeah.
Shout out to the men who are walking around not knowing what to do, but they love their child.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's who I fight for.
Yeah. Powerful.
I love that, Dwayne. Thank you. Thank you. When I am around Ty, when I'm around you and your father, when I'm around other friends of mine with their fathers, I covet that relationship. I covet it because my father passed when I was 7. And growing up without him, growing up without a male stepping in, not necessarily to be him, but to take the role of him, didn't have it. And it's not, I'm not looking for pity. I'm just saying the issues of abandonment are very real. And every boy, I believe in the heart of every boy, he wants to know that he's good enough. And as a man, we still want to know that we're good enough. And so I hunger for that relationship where I can look at someone who looks like me, someone who knows me, someone who will not judge me and just love me and just talk to me, say to me the things that need to be said, whether I want to hear it or not. You know, I used to think as a boy that a boy needs his father, and a boy does. And I never realized that a man needs his father. Men do. I do. And so what I do as a father is I try to do and give what I did not have. Someone said to me, how is it that you can be such a good dad and you didn't have a dad growing up? And I said, I simply do what I wanted. You know, I give what I wanted. I know now that fathers, men don't just, we're not just responsible for the gender of our children. We don't just give them that, but we give them their identity. It's our responsibility to tell our children who they are. It's not our wives' responsibility. It's ours. That's what the priest does. I don't have anybody to tell me who I am. And so I have to go to God, because I still get caught up in that cycle of, well, maybe I need to do this a bit more, maybe be a little more like this, because there was no one saying, no, you don't need to be that. You need to be exactly who you are. And so that's what I'm telling my children. And I'm telling them because that's what I wanted someone to tell me. It's so, I use this word again, weighty, the responsibility, but it is something that we're each carved and created to do. So regardless of how we have become fathers, regardless of what challenges we face as fathers, we have the DNA to do it and to do it well. And the brothers that are on this line are doing just that. You know, I respect each of you and I watch each of you. I learn, I ask questions constantly of younger men, of older men, of men my own age, because I don't know what I'm doing. And I never wanted people to know that I don't know what I'm doing. But now it's more important to, I feel that it's more important to say it and get help than to pretend like I really know what I'm doing. I don't have the handbook, but I have a father, a heavenly father that I stay in contact with, who is telling me, all right, well, do this. And that was wrong. You need to apologize for that. Well, my youngest is 4. I don't care. Apologize to the 4-year-old because you did something wrong. And I live by that. I learn so much from my children. I learn courage from them because they look to me and expect me to be courageous. And if I don't feel it, I have to be it anyway.
Yeah, I feel that. We're almost out of time. We've got about 12 minutes left, and I want to make sure that that those who are watching just feel someone who needs to jump on for the last 10 minutes. We're gonna finish strong. So share this, invite somebody, because there's someone who needs to know, just like you, Dewan, need to know that, man, we're not a mistake, brother. And for some of us who have never had our biological fathers to pour into us, to literally look into your eyes and be able to say, I'm yours and you're mine and you're going to be okay. Like you can't explain the void, and you could even have great people who can come into your life, but there's still at times an emptiness that you can experience. So I want to just look right into this screen and encourage somebody who feels that void, and you can't fully even understand why you feel that way. But I understand, and others of us who've had similar experiences, we feel you. I will never forget. I actually saw my biological father twice in my life, and the second time he was in a casket, and I was comparing my hands to his, trying to determine like what do we have in common. Like I remember reflecting on my legs and my shape, and wondering like, man, like, could he grow facial hair? I wasn't around him, so there were things I just did not know. Like, and for those of you who've been around your dads, you can't fully process that perhaps, but it does something for us. And so to us, and I want to encourage you today, if that's a void that you've experienced, I'll never forget the moment when I got the word that my father had passed. I don't know if you remember this. I was in Alabama, and I got a call from my cousin. I'm blessed to have great relations with my father's family, and even the spelling of my name, Ty-RON, is so deep. My biological father's name is wrong. And I got the call, and I remember going back. In fact, when I got the call, Durrant, I was literally in the Bible bookstore in Huntsville, Alabama, buying a Bible for myself for the very first time in my life. Like I was just going through some things, and there was a shift that was happening in my life. And I believe as he was passing, perhaps, like I was literally buying a Bible. And what's deep about that is he was actually supposed to be a pastor, Dwayne. Like wow. He was literally supposed to be a pastor from Missouri. My mom got pregnant with me as a 19-year-old freshman in Huntsville, Alabama, and came back to Bermuda. We have to tell that story another time, the full story, but long story short, she nearly got rid of me. And the deep part is, I felt like I was taken away like Moses, if you will, born and raised in Bermuda, nurtured by the village, that powerful village in Bermuda. I want to speak to that. There's a powerful village in Bermuda. We have a powerful epicenter there. And that nurtured me. And now I'm back to the States. And while he was passing, Durrant, I was buying a Bible, and I'll never forget not being able to reach my dad's stand. And so I went to the apartment, my mom's, I'm like praying, I'm like, God, like, man, I can't reach my dad. My father's just passed. Like, and in my spirit that day, I heard in my spirit, like, I'm your father. Like, I can't quite explain it, but it was just a sense of like God affirming me in that moment that, son, I am your father. I'm with you. And while that is not always the same as tangible daddy in your presence, I want somebody to know that you are not a mistake, that your life was ordained, that even the loss of your father may be a challenge that you have to navigate. And it may not be something you have fully overcome, but it's something we take with us, and it becomes fuel for what we do. So I want to encourage somebody, because there are so many people who have lost fathers. Many of us have had experiences where we may be distant with fathers. I want to encourage you right in that space that God loves you. He has a plan for your life, but also the need to have other mentors around us, to have other men and folks in our lives who can pour into us as we also have those boys feel. Yeah.
I just want to focus for minutes, is because there is a healthy relationships with fathers, but in our community, there are a lot of relationships that are not healthy. So if I get an opportunity to speak to men, and that is in relationships that do not work, you have to love your child more than you dislike or hate your spouse or your significant other, formerly significant other. And you have to love your child more. And for men who are in these spaces, you have specific times with your children. For instance, every other weekend, court-appointed moments, whatever it is, make sure that moment is the most significant moment in that child's life. When you don't live with your child full-time, you live between moments. And so fathers that have access to that child every other weekend, or you have to leave the country to fly and see your child, make sure until you can do better, those moments count. Every second with your child must feel valuable. They must feel like they are important to you. We have tools now, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Instagram Live. It actually lessens the excuses, meaning you have a way. If you are not physically in the same place, you have to find a way to stay current. If you're not being allowed to speak, write old-fashioned letters. But you have to be committed to keeping a relationship with your child. There can never be the excuse that you use, which is your mother would not allow me to see you. You must find a way, make it lawfully audacious, meaning do whatever you can legally and fight it even legally. But when you're in your child's presence, if it's for 50 seconds. That 50 seconds has to be so impactful that that child lives for the next 50 seconds. Children are resilient. They understand what people are going through. They want to know from their father and the mother that they care, you value them, and they can depend on you. Be a person your child can depend on. Let them live on those moments and expect from you those moments what you say you're going to give in those moments. One thing no child likes is broken promises and disappointments. So if you only have a small smidgen of time, make it count. If you say you're going to be there, be there. Because when you break that child's spirit, you break their heart. But the converse is also true. When that child sees you there for that 1 hour, that weekend, she says, he says, my daddy loves me. And believe it or not, that relationship will grow. And here's what happens. When that child becomes to a point where they can make decisions for themselves, you see something unique and powerful grow. So fathers, no matter your circumstances, stay committed to your child. Do not let the change in relationship affect your relationship with your child. Fight for that relationship. Do everything you can legally to make sure you stay an active agent in your child's life.
That's awesome. We want to transition to a close. I know it's been a power-packed hour, and I know many of you are sending messages and there are additional comments. Hopefully you've enjoyed this conversation, and this is the beginning of something special. So let us know if you've enjoyed this. If you want this to continue, we have lots of topics and other things to come. But I want to transition to a close by acknowledging and just sharing an experience I had today. You know, I shared a little bit of my father's journey as my relation, my biological father, and being blessed to have my dad, Papa Stan, in my life. Today, and there's a picture that I posted today that I'd like to bring up as we also cue a song as we close and just leave with an affirmation. But there's a picture that I posted today of my dad, Stan, and I. But for the first time in my life, with this picture of my dad and I posted. That's easy. I mean, my dad has been with me. He's the only dad I've really known. But today, I don't know if it's like, and people have talked about like the shift that's taking place. I don't know if it's because of COVID. I don't know if it's because of Kobe, but this is the time if you could bring your sons. I'm gonna invite my sons as well just to come into the picture with me. Come on over, guys. There's also one more picture of my biological father, and I posted that today. I wanna get Zachary Dewan. But I posted this picture for the first time, actually publicly, like sharing a picture of my dad. I had never shared a picture of my father before. And what's powerful for me is like, it's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to actually show him. And for me, I believe that's a next stage to just what I'm supposed to be doing, as opposed to being honest about my journey and sharing it viscerally with others. And it took me about an hour to even post it. You know what I mean? Like just trying to figure it out. And I would encourage somebody, you're navigating dad stuff, and you're navigating, relationships with dads that you've lost. I'm blessed to have two sons. My oldest son here, you can see his head. If you come down a little bit, Jay, what's up to the people? And we got Anthony in here as well. Hey, my fellas. And today it was a piece that I wrote that came out, and it was entitled "Hilly Kirby Healing: An Open Letter to Black People on Father's Day." If you haven't seen it, I'm sure we can maybe put it in the chat or put it on the link or go to my Facebook page. And it really talked about just where I am in my journey as a father. Started when Kobe passed on January 26th, like something happened for me. That was actually Jay's 26th birthday. And when he called me and told me that Kobe passed, it did something to me, Duane. I can't fully explain it, but I think it had a lot to do with the fact that Jay, that was his 26th birthday. We both loved and enjoyed Kobe. But also, the fact that he was telling me that Kobe had passed and his father actually looked like Kobe. And so it was just a really interesting moment for us. And for each person who's watching, for anybody that's ever experienced father loss, for those of you who are trying to figure out who you are, no one has ever looked at you and told you who you are. There are some realities. You saw that picture of my biological father. It's funny there when I'm in Bermuda, people say, "Man, you look like a Douglas." And I do. You know what I'm saying? You raised me, right? But I look at my biological father, and I also, you can see it. I'm trying to hold on to my hair, Durrant. I'm still hanging in, bro. I'm not the guy who sprays it on. But most of my cousins, there's a rep at like 25, so I'm still doing well. You know what I'm saying? but there are some real things. I mean, I hold my mouth like him. Like you see the picture, you know, I mean, there are things, my stature apparently. And so it's deep because genetically he's in me, but also socially, my dad has been the one to cultivate me. And so I just want to acknowledge the beauty of our journeys as man, as fathers, to acknowledge our fathers, to acknowledge Jay's biological father, Mendel Hill, who passed away from cancer, but was a blessing to so many of us. I see you there. What's up? I see you, sis. Good to see you. We just celebrate our families. We celebrate our fathers. And I want to invite you right now just to bring your fathers, your sons, your daughters, bring your father close if you're a son. Invite your dad to watch. I want to invite my friend, Brother Dewan Starling, recording artist, man of God. If you would just share a simple song with us, that's I think entitled "He's a Part of Me." This is just a moment where you just bring your family close. If you want to just share this song, close out by covering our families.
When I look into the mirror, there's much more to what I see. A reflection of my yesterday standing there in front of me. His eyes, his voice, and the way he holds his mouth, they all combine to define what I'm about. He's a part of me as the salt is to an ocean. It's beautiful to see this bond that can never be broken. And although my life has changed, this one thing still remains. I'm never alone, 'cause he's a part of me. Oh, over time I've come to know you through the ones you left behind. There's so much that I would show you if the chance were ever mine. I'd show you my children, I'd show you my wife, and all of the things I treasure most. Almost trade them all, I'd almost trade them all, man, if for once your hand I could hold. I wanna hold your hand. He's a part of me as the salt is to an ocean. It's beautiful to see this bond that can never be broken. Oh, and although my life has changed, this one thing still remains. I'm never alone, 'cause he's a part of me. Oh, and though the world may soon forget your name, I'll stand before them all and stake my claim. He's a part of me as the salt is to an ocean. It's beautiful to see this bond that can never be broken. And although my life has changed, this one thing still remains. 'cause he's a part of me. And suddenly it's clear to me I'm never alone, 'cause Daddy's a part of me and forever will be. I'm never alone, 'cause he's a part of me. Of me.
Yeah. I just want to invite you just to pray for us as we just close out. Father, we just thank you for this moment to be reminded that not only our fathers are part of us, Lord, but you're a part of us. You're with us. And you've given each of us a measure of faith. And so I'm praying that right now that you would just reawaken and every single person that's watching that measure of faith, those who may have given up on themselves, on you, maybe even up on a father. I ask that on this day, this Father's Day, that shifts will take place, that transformation will happen, and that hope will be restored. And I pray for healing of relationships, for those who want it, those who desire it even now, that there will be new connections made across families, across contacts, across seas, and ultimately, Lord, with you. Thank you for this time. Thank you for our fathers, but thank you for being our Father. Bless us until we meet again. Cover our island, cover our world, cover our people, and guide us. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I want to thank you for joining us for this conversation. If you were encouraged by it, if you enjoyed this, please let us know. Hopefully you were talking in the chat. Send us some messages. You have an email address there, soamazinglife@gmail.com. Let us know. This is just a pilot to see whether you wanted it. You get to decide. You have a role to play and whether we continue to do this, but we believe that there's something powerful here, and now is the time. And so if you are interested, send us a message. My email is there, as well as our social media information is there. You want to follow Durrant Stanley. He has at least 2 albums, I believe, that you may want to get a hold of. Follow him on social media as well. Durrant Keynes, thank you for your leadership in our city of Hamilton there. Thank you for all that you do, Dad. Thank you for what you do, who you are, gentlemen. I value you. And again, my information is there as well, folks. Reach out, send us a message on my social media platforms as well. But also let us know if you'd like to be a part of this movement. This is not just a moment, but this is a movement for fathers, a movement for families, a movement for liberation. God bless you until we meet again. And remember that so amazing is possible. Go ahead and claim it. God bless you.